Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists.
Julie, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It's been a long time coming, especially now that we're neighbors here at the EnVision Center. And we'll talk about what your organization does. But first, can you just rewind a little bit? Tell me a little bit about your background. Like, are you a local? Did you go to university? What did you study? And how did you end up in this kind of work?
Yes. Okay. Awesome. I'm actually from Chattaroy, Washington. So not quite a local, but still pretty close to this area. And I grew up visiting this area, camping in this area. So I knew it pretty well. And we moved here, my husband and I, 4 years ago.
Okay.
And
because you knew about it and you just knew it was a lovely place and you wanted to end up here. Did your husband have roots here? What brought you actually moving here?
Yeah. So actually, it was COVID, to be honest.
Okay. Boo, don't tell people. Oh.
So we were living in Washington. At that time, we were living in Spokane. We had a pretty successful business, and we just decided to move it over to Idaho. And we didn't start looking here, to be honest. We started looking in Rathdrum first.
Okay.
But we love this area, and so we landed in Priest River.
Okay. And then what is your education background?
Yeah, this is funny. So most people think that I would have like a social work education background. My education background is actually in water resources. I was all about natural resources, and that was my passion for a long time. But I also always volunteered, doing a lot of homelessness work and working with women that had been trafficked. And so my volunteering turned into more like a work. And so, I had done that for a long time. And when I came to Priest River, my husband's like, hey, you helped me build this business. I think it's time for you to do what you want to do. And I connected with Priest River Ministries.
Okay. And I love to ask that question about what are people's backgrounds and their education and all of that, because if there's one thing I've learned from doing these interviews, it's that so many EDs and just leaders of nonprofits don't have a degree or education in anything relating to what they're doing, but still they can be very effective as, leaders. So I like to ask that too, so that if there's somebody who's maybe thinking about some kind of career transition or whatever, but they feel like they can't because they don't have that degree or whatever, that maybe they don't even have a degree. Like many people come on and they don't even have a college degree and they're killing it, running these organizations. So it's pretty fun. People should definitely not put themselves in a box. So were you a volunteer at Priest River Ministries for Women first?
So I came in wanting to be a volunteer. I asked, hey, I'd like to volunteer here. What all could I do? And it just happened to be the ED at that time was there. And she said, well, do you want to come talk to me in the office? And I was like, sure. And so we had a conversation just about my experiences. And she basically said, we're looking for an advocate at this time. And I basically walked out with a job. And so I was like, let me clear it with my husband. But, just because I wanted to make sure that we were ready for me to go back into the workforce and everything. And so it was really exciting. I started just part-time advocate and got some training during that time. And when you were talking about our skills don't always align with our education, it's kind of interesting how my education, even in water resources, really helped as a leader in my current position. And we sometimes think that we have to have a certain kind of education. Well, I would just encourage anyone to get education, period, because there's so many skills that you learn that are universal over the board. So
Right. And so I want to ask you more about being an advocate, but to go back a little bit, if you had been a volunteer, or tell me about if someone is going to start more at that entry level as a volunteer, what are the volunteer opportunities there?
Yeah. So to start, we usually like to have volunteers work in our clothing closet. It's a free clothing center. It's called Lydia's, and it's more so that they get the feel for just the community. And so it's, hanging clothes, sorting clothes, greeting people as they come in, finding out what those people's needs are. We don't like to usually put them straight into being, on the other side where we're dealing with kind of high trauma cases. And so they just start out there. And then we start to look at like, what qualities do they have? What are they passionate about? We had one lady that started with us at Lydia's, and we came to find out that she used to do childcare. She's really amazing with children. She, had a childcare license. And so we pulled her aside and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing our respite care?" And so, it's a good place to just get a feel for them, but also for them to get a feel of what we're encountering on a daily basis.
And where their skills and talents may apply where they didn't even realize where you need that to be filled. So being an advocate, what is that? What does it mean to be an advocate? And what is that service that you're offering folks who come through the doors?
Yeah. So basically for our mission statement is that we serve women that are impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, or trafficking. So an advocate is really someone that's going to understand those impacts, right? And so when we have a lady come in, an advocate is going to meet with that lady and first just hear, listen to her story, give her a space where she feels heard and understood. And from there, then we want to look at the practical things, like where does she want to go from here, and it's not our job to tell them what to do. It's not our job to persuade them into any direction. It's our job to walk alongside them with whatever she desires. And so an advocate is really about listening, being a calm place for that woman, and then walking her to whatever next step she wants to take. And sometimes that means that she's going to leave her situation and come into shelter. Some of these cases are there's a lot of concern about their safety and such like that. And so an advocate's then going to give her, the resources, talk to her about not only our shelter, but what it looks like when she leaves. That's a very scary time in a woman's life, and it can be the most dangerous time, is that process of leaving. Statistically, that's usually when violence escalates even to, be deadly. So
okay, and so when women have a need, they're victims of one of the things, abuse or whatever the case may be, do they can just walk through your doors? Do people get referred? Like, how do women generally find you and make their way to an advocate's desk?
Yeah, so there's lots of different ways. Obviously, they can just walk in, but we're also listed on like hotlines for domestic violence, sexual assault, trafficking. We have a website that has our crisis number on it too. So 24/7, doesn't have to be when our office is open. They can be calling that line and talk with an advocate. And even if they're fleeing in the process of leaving, we can put them into shelter. And then we also work with our local law enforcement. And so the law enforcement officer, if he's called to a scene, he usually gives them our card.
Okay.
And so there's lots of different ways that they're getting referred to us or are getting connected with us.
And their kids can come too?
Yes.
How does it work if they've got a few kiddos, they're fleeing a situation, or they're just maybe they're not even fleeing, they just don't have shelter at the time and they've got a couple kids. How does that work? Because I imagine some women might be afraid to show up with kids, and then what if you take my kids away from me or something like that?
Right. Yeah. No, we are really sensitive to the fact that shelters can really impact kids in a negative way. And so we try to to be as accommodating as possible when there is a family involved. And so, we have a shelter space that is designed just for a mom with kids. And then as far as, the legality piece of like kids being taken away or whatever that, a shelter is covered by that. We don't, we're completely confidential and it's none of our business. We're just there to provide safety.
And then your shelters, are those owned by you, or do you work with someone else who does the shelter piece? How does that work?
They're owned by us. So we have a couple emergency shelters, and they're not intended for like long-term stay, but they are private. So each family or woman has her own room, and then from there we do work with other organizations, and we collaborate for more like a transition sheltering. We have a couple different organizations that we work through that maybe we have a woman stay with us for a week, and then we discover her situation is in a place where she could go into transitional. Then we're gonna connect them and make sure that she can go into something that's a longer term stay, but isn't trying to relocate to an apartment altogether.
Right. And what do you do? What kind of services do you offer when a woman does need like legal help and getting a job and those kinds of things? Where do you play in?
Yeah. So the advocate is 100% a part of that. We usually have different resources for local jobs that are available. We also try to get them connected with like Equesta or, those the other places that are job trainings and, things like that for them. And then as far as I'm sorry, what was the other?
It was, legal stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
So as far as the legal piece, we currently don't have a attorney that's a part of our organization, but we definitely assist with civil protection orders. A lot of people mistake those as no contact orders, but they're civil protection orders to assure like her safety and her protection. And then we also have all of the paperwork for child custody, divorce, if that is the direction she goes. We have those available, and we have a resource that we work with at the courthouse to try to navigate the paperwork. But really, the filing can happen 100% on her own. But we definitely try to give her the most support in that.
Yeah. That, and probably a lot of it is like just kind of education, like you said, understanding types of orders and things like that can probably go long with someone who's just overwhelmed and doesn't know what the next step should be.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, to be an advocate, probably the toughest part for a lot of people, a lot of women who might be interested in that would be the like holding your tongue part. Like if a woman chooses to stay or, go back to some kind of bad situation and you just want to, grab their hands and help them along the way, out of that situation. But like you said, that's not your role. No, you're there to just listen and then support them in whatever direction they end up going, which, I don't know how you train. How do you train for that to be like, no, don't go back to that situation? That would be, that would probably be the hardest part for me.
It is hard. I think a big thing is like, we try to educate her as much as possible so that she's not making a decision out of feelings or an emotion or trauma. She's making a decision that's an educated decision, right? And so the same with, with the advocates. It's like we really work on knowing and listening to what she wants, but then also letting her know, like, when you make this choice, these could be the outcomes. Are you willing to live with these outcomes? And it's just it is hard because that they're they've I hate to say it this way, but the trauma brain, they're scattered. They're trying to, figure out what to do, how to do it, and how to stay safe. They're in survival mode. There's all these different things that are just swirling around their mind. And so we just try to help them be in a place of calm, and educate them so that hopefully they are making the best decision for them and their family.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And like I mentioned at the beginning, we're neighbors now. I don't even know if you call that, because it's like we're part of the same building space now.
We're under the same umbrella here.
Yeah. So talk about that. You're in the EnVision Center now. What sparked that move, and how's it going?
So we liked where we were at. It wasn't like a problem, but we really wanted to be connected more with other resources in the area. We were already utilizing some resources that were local here. I don't know if is it okay to give a shout out to the different people that we work with.
Absolutely.
Okay. Obviously, we were working with the EnVision Center. We were working with 7B Care Clinic. We were working with Idaho. We were working with Cedar Church. And so like all of them are right here. Mm-hmm. And it just made sense.
Yeah.
And then also, there was a little concern about like not being, how do I say this, confidential as much being here, but honestly it's actually been easier to keep our clients confidential because a client could be pulling up here for a million different reasons, and there's no way that they can really know that they're coming to our location. And at our old location, it was like stated right in front, like parking for Priest River Ministries.
Or the tattoo shop. It's like, which one do you think she's going to? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really, I'm really liking this space. We had our board here yesterday and they were just thrilled with this space. So,
well, I know we're happy to have you. And it is easy. I don't know how often Angel just pops over, I just got off the phone with someone who's going to be using, like that cross resource, those cross resource conversations that happen all the time here. And it's really a beautiful thing that we have so many different, that ecosystem of nonprofits that all work together to help people get back on their feet or, accomplish whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish in a tough time. But you've got even bigger vision too, beyond, you've moved to this new location. You're still in Priest River. So we're talking about your Sandpoint location changed, but Priest River has not changed.
No.
But then now you're working towards building something kind of like the EnVision Center, but out there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we have, when we purchased the building that we're in right now, we also purchased a building that was beside it. And so in the same center. And we've always used that building as revenue. So we rented it out and it was good for the time being. We had great renters in there. But as their lease came to an end, we really decided to do something that matched our mission, matched our vision for the community. And as much as we are a domestic violence resource, we also are very much involved in being a resource for the community just in general.
Yeah.
And so when we saw that building and we had lots of conversations about it, we decided it's time to look at filling that space with people that align with our vision for our community. And so there's going to be office spaces that are going to be available for people that bring resources to the community. I know like we've even talked with iCare, which is out of St. Vincent's in Coeur d'Alene. We've talked to, crisis pregnancy centers. We've talked to just even like resources for like WIC and things like that, so that we're bringing something different to that area, so that these people don't have to travel like outside. I mean, we see a lot of people that are looking for resources and they have to travel to Sandpoint. I mean, which I love Sandpoint.
Yeah.
But But the fact is that we have a lot of people in our community that either don't drive or they don't have the financial means to keep driving back and forth. And so to bring our community together and have some stronger resources right there, it's important to us. And so that is what's developing. It should be definitely looking at 2026 when all of this is going to be happening. And
Yeah, so something for people to keep in mind, back of their mind, if you are involved with a nonprofit or some kind of organization, doesn't have to be a nonprofit, anybody bringing some of those resources, if you think you might share some of that common vision with Priest River Ministries for Women, then they should reach out to you maybe and get a conversation going, even though we know it's going to be a little bit till things really get moving. But that's super exciting. And it's a theme actually that I've heard a bit recently with doing this podcast and interviewing folks, is that a lot of nonprofits that are based in or, have a strong presence in Sandpoint are also all kind of saying, yeah, but Bonner County is more than Sandpoint.
it is.
There's other communities, other towns, other people in need, and it's not easy necessarily for all of them to get to Sandpoint. So it's kind of interesting that there seems to be this kind of like growing new framework, or just maybe it's that because the population in the county has kind of changed and evolved a lot since COVID too, that people are recognizing this more and more, that, hey, we don't just serve Sandpoint, we serve the whole county. So how can we do that better? So it's pretty cool that you're going to be a part of that in Priest River. What are some of the biggest needs that you have? And maybe you can talk about what you like in terms of, or you use the most or have the greatest need for in terms of donating to the store for people to come in and get things for free, or any other like volunteer roles, or maybe you need a lawyer or whatever the case may be. What are some of your biggest needs top of mind right now?
Yeah. So right now we are always out of kids' clothing. So, kids are harder on their clothes.
Yeah.
So usually the donations are pretty low. So if anyone has some gently used kids' clothing, that would be amazing. It really helps our families in the community and the ones that we bring into shelter. Another really big need is, we need a paralegal. We've been searching, even if there was a lawyer willing to do some pro bono, things like that. Like it is a write-off, right?
Yeah.
And then honestly, because of just the focus on the renovations and things with our building, we started looking at just our building in general. And I was like, we need some paint here. We need some little touch up over here, know. And so I've been doing a call out, like skilled workers that could just even donate an hour, just that'd be willing to come and just help us, present our facility well. And it's, we're still a small nonprofit. And so I really need our advocates focusing on advocacy work. And it's hard because sometimes we are out there weed whacking and we are doing other things. And it would be great if we had some volunteers that their heart just, wanted to support us in that way.
You might not know this off the top of your head, but about how many women or families, or however you measure it, come through your doors every year, every quarter, however you like to break it down?
So, and I mean, it's hard because we have all these different ways that they come in, right? I can tell you in shelter, we've already had 177 nights that we've provided this year. So that's, it's a pretty good amount.
Yeah.
And then, looking at just the people that we're serving, I mean, our service calls alone are over 100 a month.
Wow.
And that's service calls. That's not like, hey, when's Lydia's open?
Yeah.
This is like the true service calls. And then, the people that walk in, and I mean, it just, I don't even know with that, to be honest. It's really hard to measure because sometimes it's, someone's coming in quite a few times.
Right.
And then other times it's, their families are coming in and asking for help with their daughter that's, in an abusive relationship, or, and so it's hard to to count every single one, to be honest. And we don't have like this huge paperwork that anyone has to do, because honestly, most people that are coming in are, again, trauma brain. It is so hard even to look at one piece of paper and fill out the information. And so, we do try to do intakes when it's, someone that is maybe doing a civil protection order or coming into shelter, those things. Okay, we're going to be careful and we're going to do paperwork. But the people that are coming in just wanting to talk and get resources, obviously that doesn't always get tracked.
Yeah. And I only ask because it's important for people to know how many of folks in our community actually use your resources, because if you're not in it, if you haven't been in that situation or you don't work in that world, you might look around and be like, how many people are there? And you know, these cases, like how many battered women are there running around? Is this even really a huge issue? What people need to understand, that like a lot of times it might be someone you don't even know is in that situation or using those resources or whatever, and that there is a need even here where we, especially particularly Sandpoint, I'm talking Sandpoint now, not necessarily the whole county, but in Sandpoint, is kind of a wealthier, thought of as more of a wealthier area. There's a lot of rich retirees and wealthier people here. And so you might think, should this be like top of mind, a nonprofit like this? But no, like you're clearly saying there's some big numbers that you're pulling in, which could be surprising to some.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Sandpoint, let's just use that as a reference. So last month alone in Sandpoint, we did track 24 intakes in 1 month in Sandpoint. Yeah. And we're not even here 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just kind of for, I guess some information that Sandpoint is not the exception.
Right. It's not this like shining town on the hill, that doesn't have issues. We have issues the same as many other communities, if not most other communities. Is there anything, in the works or any kind of other need or anything that we didn't get at, any part of your mission or vision that you want to make sure people understand in this conversation before we sign off?
I don't know, as far as like, we've covered a lot, but I think a big part is, we have a heart that is really for this whole entire region. And for a long time, it's been misunderstood that we're all about just Priest River. And it's in our name, Priest River Ministries. And so I'm just going to be letting a little cat out of the bag. We're dropping Priest River Ministries as a part of our name. We're just going to continue as advocates for women so that there's a better understanding that this is we serve this whole region. And the more available we can be is, I don't know, how do I say it? It's so important to us that we are available for all this area. We have women that are coming from Clark Fork. We have women that are coming even, from Kootenai County and such. And so we're really wanting to make sure that people understand that we're not just serving Priest River. Our main office is there, but we really envision an office here the same size that we can have that kind of presence, and hopefully one day a shelter. And so it's here, and so just letting everyone know that this isn't I don't know, it's not just about
It's not exclusive at all.
Yeah,
it's
not at all.
Yeah, it's for everybody.
We're going to serve any woman that needs help. Yeah.
Well, beautiful. Thank you. And I do think it's a good thing that the Priest River, I actually kind of go back and forth because, you're headquartered there. People should be able to understand that, just because you are named after where you're headquartered doesn't mean that's all you serve. And people seem to understand that more about things that are that have Sandpoint in their name. Then they still kind of understand that it serves the whole county. But for some reason, Priest River is like, oh, just just Priest River.
Yeah.
It's funny. Human psychology isn't interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting what triggers in our mind and what, sticks and what we think is the actual truth when it's not always the truth.
Yeah. But I mean, what y'all are doing for the community is obviously amazing and invaluable. And so just thank you for all that you do. And we are excited to watch you continue to grow and make changes and serve in bigger and better ways.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecIdaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.